by 1956, the new forts have broken Orang Asli bonds with the communists. All over Malaya, Templars' surge is at last turning the tide of the war. The communist leadership has been decimated, and Chin Peng himself is in Thailand. The British step up the pressure on these hardcore communist brigades holding out inside Malaya.
By that time, the security situation had greatly improved, and so the people remaining in the jungle, in the communist ranks, were essentially the very hardcore. They needed to be starved into submission.
They survive only thanks to supplies of rice from some of the Chinese resettlement villages. The solution is radical but down to earth. Instead of supplying villagers with raw rice, the new village authorities will cook it first. The strategy is called central cooking.
他怀疑你们在怎么情况之下来接济他们，对吧？后来他出了一招，米不能跟让你们自己煮，把一个大锅放了，全村人到时到后那个煮好了，在那个一个集中那个地方，你们去拿那个饭。
Central cooking has a deadly effect. The flow of rice from village to jungle dries up. Isolated in the jungle, many communist fighters begin to starve.
我们夫妻也是很辛苦啊，没有2次饿肚子，牺牲的很大的，饿死啊。
Dan pertempuran agaknya banyak juga kawan kita korban, tapi itu patut. Ini pengorbanan di dalam kebuluran. Nah itu dasar. Sampai ke tak boleh berjalan, tak boleh bergerak. Saya makan kayu, buah dan puyuk gebuh. Gebuh tak mau umput, makan-makan. Cuma itu. Itu yang pahit betul lah, bukan bohong lah.
Hunger forces the desperate communist leaders to cut down the size of their units to cope with rapidly dwindling supplies.
在那个时候呢，我们人员也减少，就可以在那边维持，所以影响到我们大部队啊，不能够集中在一起，这样变成打仗的力量啊削弱了。
With the communists on the run, the British make sure that ordinary Malayans know that the emergency is being won, that the communists need no longer be feared. To ram the point home, security forces put on display communists killed in firefights, the fruits of victory. Even schoolchildren are not spared these grisly exhibitions, as teacher Ted Miles recalls.
On the way to school, we had to walk by the police station, and often we would see the bodies of dead communists lying on the ground in front of the police station. They would be brought in by helicopter and spread out, I suppose for identification purposes to start with, but it always was a stark reminder that there was a war going on.
We try to identify them. So we place it at the foot of the police station, and then the public will come and have a look. We have our men mixing with them. We will see whether tears come out or not. Then we would follow and do proper investigation to find out.
Malaya has endured 5 years of undeclared war, the emergency. Now Sir Gerald Templar must prepare war-weary Malaya for a new challenge, independence. Malaya, 1953. Government forces have begun to win the war on terror against Chin Peng's communist insurgents. Now, the High Commissioner Sir Gerald Templar must turn his attention to the challenge of independence. But to move forward on the political front, the British must prove that they at last have made Malaya safe. In 1953, communist attacks have fallen from more than 6,000 in 1951 to just over 1,000. Civilian casualties have dropped dramatically from 1,024 to 143. Reassured by these impressive results, Templer announces the creation of so-called white areas, starting in a district in Malacca where British troops have successfully cleared communist insurgents. In these white areas, ordinary Malayans are liberated from food restrictions and curfews. It is a calculated risk, but one that Templer believes is well worth taking.
The districts neighboring the white area will see what's happening and say, hey, we want that too. So let's cooperate with government. So we also get all these lousy emergency regulations removed so we can enjoy ourselves as well. So it was a very important psychological warfare initiative.
每个员工觉得很放心，挺好哦。吃进不必跟他不必当监禁，什么都不用，也没有curfew了啊。
The white area strategy makes it easier to imagine a future Malaya, free at last. On the 31st of May 1954, Templer flies home. The war has not yet been won, but the man now called the Tiger of Malaya has at least persuaded all Malayans to fight together against a common foe.
General Templer came in. He was the right man at the right time for the right job. If it had been a lesser man, I don't think he would have been able to break the backbone of the communist terrorists.
In many parts of Malaya, the national mood has lifted. Casualties are falling, and the number of areas officially declared white continue to rise. The stage is at last set for independence. It is time to turn from bullet to ballot. Attention now focuses on a legendary Malayan, the father of independence, Tunku Abdul Rahman. Tunku is a veteran nationalist who chooses a democratic, non-violent route to win freedom. Now he is the leader of the New Alliance Party, a coalition of the Malay, Chinese and Indian parties. On the 31st of July 1955, Malayans go to the polls in a federal election.
The most significant feature of this national event was a merger of the three major parties representing the main races of Malaya into a political alliance to contest the election.
Turnout is an astonishing 85%. Tunku's Alliance Party sweeps the board, winning 51 out of 52 seats. Tunku himself becomes Malaya's first chief minister. But Malaya is still at war. The emergency has not ended. Now the burden of wrapping up once and for all falls on the shoulders of the new chief minister. Tunku takes immediate action. He offers an amnesty to the communist insurgents. Throw down your arms, or you will miss out on independence. Soon, word comes from Thailand. The notorious communist leader Chin Peng wants to talk. Tunku agrees to meet him at Baling, a small town just south of the Thai border.
Hopes ran high, not only among the Baling townsfolk, but among all the people of Malaya, that by some miracle the communists would repent of the evil they had done and surrender for the good of the country. All necks craned for a glimpse of the number one terrorist. There he is, that's him. Chin Peng, directly responsible for a brutal 7-year campaign of murder and terrorism against the ordinary people of Malaya.
If you look at him, you wouldn't think that he would be the villain that he was. And when we talked to him as man to man, he seemed to be very gentlemanly in his conduct. And so we had one whole day talking to one another on the terms.
Chin Peng offers Tunku peace, but in return he demands that the Malayan